But, and Ezra, you come in from 1:30 till 3, so there's plenty of time. I hopefully am back at 12:30, but certainly 1:30, 3. And then we've got recitation when?
Tomorrow. There's no recitation tomorrow.
Okay. So, tomorrow is Thursday. Class tomorrow. Recitation tomorrow night. And then, I would say, if you want to look at your exams, bring all the exams, just go through and, I don't know, that almost seems like a waste of time to look at what you missed. But it may be sort of better to just make an all-encompassing group of problems to just work out a variety of things that are harder than the current test. That'd be for Friday. Friday just work out. But in other words, you can see that what you missed off your individual test, which is great, but chances are you didn't miss it the second time around. Does that make sense? So if you want to see your test, take the first 10, 15 minutes, let them skim through it, and you can write down, I missed an alcohol reaction or alcohol oxidation or so on and so forth. You don't get to bring your camera out and take pictures of it though. But also though, let's go in and get an all-encompassing, kind of like an ACS exam, which we really don't know what it is, but just work through everything. Nomenclature, all from alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, alcohols, la 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 la, mix and match, and then all the reactions, and then all of the physical properties, boiling points, melting points, so on and so forth, and all the other little tidbit nonsense. So, because we do want to do good. So study hard over the weekend. If we beat them, I think I would expect that they were somewhere probably in the 60s, 68, 69. But if we're in the 70s, if we're in the 80s, I will buy donuts. Ooh, that would be expensive here. It would be $150 for good donuts. But it's okay, I would do that, because it's just fun to win. Is it not? Well, I think I'm competitive that way. All right, good answer. Okay, so that said, if we have something with a carbonyl, and I don't really care what the heck it is, it could be me. Right? That's me with the big tongue. It doesn't matter. If I add acid and water, I'm going to hydrolyze whatever this group is and get back to carboxylic acid. This is what we're seeing here. So in other words, my worry is sometimes we memorize things based upon their name. In other words, we might be memorizing that, well, an amide hydrolyzes to an acid, right? An ester hydrolyzes to an acid. So rather than just memorizing that the amide hydrolyzes to an acid, an ester hydrolyzes to an acid, whatever is on this carbonyl, if I boil it in acid and water, is going to turn right back down to the acid. Now, what your book wants you to know as part of a memorization scheme is, well, what do you kick out, though? What do you get besides the acid? And for me, I like care about the acid. But the ACS, in looking at how they gauge their questions, draw the equation. I mean, this is a real question here. Draw the equation of the hydrolysis of an ester, like methylpropanoate or something. And so you end up getting the methanol and the ester. So they also want you to know what comes out here. But again, that ought to be pretty easy, right? If I'm hydrolyzing an ester, I'm going to get the carboxylic acid, the OH, okay? And I'm going to get whatever I did kicked off. Same thing as when I had yesterday when I hydrolyzed the amide. I got the carboxylic acid and then I got the amine kicked off as well. If I did it in basic conditions, okay, then I got the amine. If I did it in acid conditions, I got the ammonium. That should be just something you just kind of draw out on a piece of paper and look at just a smidgen before you go. But I would also, Ezra, if you want, to draw all of those out. You can take my book so that you have a study guide to go with this. Look at that. Ezra's going, I don't know. Am I getting paid for it? Yes, you are. So I know you're thinking, do I need that? Yes, we need that. We want to win. We want to win. And that would be like going through the, kind of the, I don't know if your book has a review section at the end of every chapter that you can just print out and it gives you all those reactions and all those things. I don't know, but here's the thing. I've never had this good a class in all my years. In all my years, in every class, you usually have 3 to 4 90s. Here we have 16 90s. Now, I'm believing some of those 80s can get to 90s as well. So I would like to have, because I've only got like 4 more years of doing this and then I'm going to retire. I'd like to have I'd like to go out on top. Best class ever. Okay, and we'll take a picture of best class ever. We'll post it on Facebook. Best class ever. I don't know. I can't imagine ever having this kind of situation again. So, there we go. Whatever we need to do, Ezra. Ball's in your court. Whatever you need to do. I want my people all to be perfect. Good end. All right, so hydrolysis of esters. Whether I'm hydrolyzing acetylsalicylic acid, which is aspirin. That's actually a question, by the way. I looked at that and the thing is that they want you to know what this is and to hydrolyze it. So here we go. Specifically, aspirin, which is the ester. We are an ester here of the salicylic acid. So this is salicylic acid. This is really what gives you the fever reducing, the pain, the swelling, alleviates the swelling, the fever, and the pain. But it is way too acidic. pKa of 5, pKa of about 10. These are both strong acids. Gets into your stomach lining, creates painful situation. So we converted it into an ester. I think the little story in your book said they did it for taste, but it actually mellows it out a little bit in your stomach as well. But then again, we've created, if you look at Tylenol and ibuprofen, they all have the same structural features, and they all bind into those anti-inflammatory COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes. So, that said though, this is more of a hydrolysis of an ester. Well, here's the ester. So if I'm going to hydrolyze this is going to be the alcohol right here. And there's my alcohol, and I get my acid. That's a hard one. So if Ezra comes and does a variety of those types of things with amides and esters, then you can get quickly at, all right, all I'm going to do is the carboxylic acid. This is the carboxylic acid part, and this is the ester part. I can draw that, so I get that alcohol and that acid as my product. And if, by the way, this was an amide, instead of an oxygen was an NH2, I would get this as an NH2 and the acid, right? It would be exactly the same. So that's a visual thing, that's a common sense thing I want you to recognize is, I don't have to necessarily memorize these by name. I can figure out whether I'm in an acidic solution or a basic solution and what my products are going to look like in an acidic solution or a basic solution. Yes?
And the aromatic green that's in the aspirin, that doesn't really affect any of this hydrolysis?
No, this aromatic ring, they draw this in. It is interesting. Aromatic rings, you have a specific enzyme called the phenylalanine hydroxylase. Has anybody here had a baby yet? Baby, no baby. Baby. What's the first thing they do to the baby when it comes out? On the heel of the foot?
They take a PKU.
They nick it to do a PKU. That's a phenylketonuria. So you have a phenylketonuria enzyme, a phenylalanine hydroxylase, that goes in here, and its job is to get rid of all of these benzene ring compounds. Because these things really look like this, but because these electrons flow around the ring, they're very stable. Because they're very stable, they're nonpolar, and they get inside these nerve endings inside the body. So if you don't have, so this is a problem with babies, not all your enzymes are activated. At the minute that you take that first breath of oxygen, you now switch from fetal hemoglobin and fetal metabolism to oxygenated hemoglobin. Your oxygenated hemoglobin for the first couple of days is created, and then you undergo oxidative metabolism, and now this becomes an issue that you've got to have a way of excreting out all of these aromatic, your tryptophans, your serotonins, your phenylalanines. All of these need to be converted into a more water-soluble point so that you can excrete them out in the urine. And if a baby can't do that, if that enzyme doesn't come to life upon oxygenated metabolism, then that baby slowly gets mental issues, because that's what it causes. It gets inside these nerve cells, and the nerve cells don't work effectively, and your baby usually has neurologic and mental issues from that. Now, that said, when we get older, that's kind of the same thing. Our phenylalanine hydroxylase, so many of our enzymes begin to slow down, and so we have to stop drinking Diet Cokes. Have a lot of this stuff in them, and so and let's be really clear. I've given up everything except for my Cokes, and as a diabetic from drinking Coke, I'm down to Coke Zero. And yes, I do have brain fog because of it, and I'm hoping that it doesn't really mentally affect me, because I just can't imagine giving up my last beverage of luxury. I don't really want to live and just drink water. So, if I go mental and I have to retire, I can still watch Pink Floyd, or I have a DVD of every concert I've ever attended. And so I can sit and relive my life in a stupor of thought, you know. But the real truth is, if I have a mental issue, I won't know. See? I'll just be permanently happy. So that'll be just fine. But there you go. The PKU is very important in getting rid of these benzene rings. So because the benzene ring is so stable, nothing really oxidizes it very well. And that's why you don't hydrolyze that either. That's a very stable entity. All right, good stuff. So really, it's kind of the same thing over and over and over again. All of this hydrolysis of an amide, hydrolysis of an ester, no matter what you see, no matter what the alcohol is, you're ending up, or the amide, if it's an ester, you're ending, well, you can transesterify it. You can take this, hydrolyze it off. If I bring in another ester, I guess I can exchange it. I don't know that that's special, but okay, it's painful for me because I've made compounds and tried to purify them in ethanol solutions, and they turned out to be ethyl esters instead of the methyl esters, so I ruined some work. It cost me about 4 months of my life. But you can also exchange these too. I don't know that your book has the exchange, but an ACS exam might say, hey, this is less electronegative than the oxygen, right? So the oxygen is pulling away, and this is donating better, so this can replace that, which is kind of nice. I think that might be one of those really more difficult questions that you see. But in any event, if I hydrolyze any of these with just acid and water, they all will go back to the carboxylic acid, and whatever I had on it will be kicked out as a leaving group, as something that just left. Okay? Does that make sense? It makes this a little bit easier to look at over and over and over again. So, if we do this under base hydrolysis, this is what we get. I'm going to kick it out. I didn't use water, but I'm kicking it out. So, in a base, instead of getting the acid, I'll get the O-, the salt of it, because it's in a basic solution. And then I'll get the alcohol. Now, what is really cool about base hydrolysis is this is called saponification. This is how we make soaps. Okay? So this is how you make soaps. Not from vinegar. Nobody's going to take pickle juice and make a little tiny soap from it. But if you get a bigger, fattier soap, like a palmitate or a decanoate, your soaps for your shampoos are 12 carbons. The common name for 12 carbon is laurel. Again, they're all, like 5 carbon was Valerie, 12 carbon is laurel. So on your shampoos, you will see a TEA. which is a triethyl ammonium. So it would be an NNN, triethyl ammonium dodecanoate. That's if they have it in the regular form. But normally they'll just say TEA lauryl sulfate. That's the soap for your hair. The soap for your hands is normally a palmitate or a stearate, which is a 16-carbon hexadecanoate or a octadecanoate, an 18-carbon. Not that you need to know that, but this is how we make soaps, through saponification. That is basic hydrolysis. So again, the OH is just going to come in here and kick that out. And if I have OH here, and I have OH here, this is an acid, the other OH will pick that off and turn that into a salt, and then the alcohol. Because this hydrogen is more acidic than the other one. Any questions there? We're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's kind of like kissing. You know, over and over and over. No, not really. No, not really. Okay. Write the condensed structural formulas of the organic products when methyl acetate reacts with water and an acid catalyst or KOH. So here, we have to know, that's why nomenclature is so critical, we have to know what methyl acetate is. Here is the methyl, here is the acetate, okay? So when I do acid hydrolysis, water and an acid, I end up with the acid and the methanol. If I do basic, I end up with the sodium salt and the methanol. So they're the same thing. And no, that's not an N, that is an H. Anybody out there critiquing my handwriting? Please get diabetes in the news. It's weird to walk and write when you can't feel your fingers. That's just, welcome to old age. So anyway, same thing. Acid in acidic solution, the deprotonated, the base in the basic solution. Pretty straight up. Any questions there? But again, it's all based upon your ability to draw the methyl acetate. That's the common name. What would it be if they use the IUPAC name to do that? It's not an acetate, it's a, what is it? Common name. This is why I want to drill a lot, Friday before the thing. This is the, what's the IUPAC name of this acid? Ethanoic acid, right? So this would be a methyl ethanoate. Gonna work on those names here. I want 100 people. Okay, there's not 100 people in here, but 40-some people going, oh yeah, methyl acetate is methyl ethanoate, ethanoic acid. Okay, let's work on those names. All names. Friday night. Alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, benzene ring name, aldehyde name, carboxylic acid name, so on and so forth. And if I'm going to do this in the basic solution, we already said that, I'm just going to get this. Oh yeah, it's KOH, sorry, excuse me. It's KOH, so that should be a K right there instead of an acid. Na. And if this was an amide, same thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Actually, here's your scientific word for the day. Beautiful. That's special and beautiful. If I say it, it's a scientific word. Beautiful. Very beautiful. There you go. Whoa! Okay, so we must be, this is not really a field trip because your book has it. It was a field trip a couple times ago when I taught this time. But so here's your fatty acid. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so this is the stearate. This comes from a cow, stearic acid, or octadecanoate, 18 carbons. Octa is 8, decanoate is 10. And so what happens is this is an ester. It's a triacylglycerol. It comes in an ester with all three of these acids connected to Draw this all the way out here. Missed it. Wow, look at that thing up there too.
That thing has been out of shape right there. I think somebody took the camera.
There used to be a camera sitting in there to watch the class, so if you cheated, you had, proof, yeah. I'm just gonna do this because, oops, I just draw it like that. There you go. And then you get O down here, and another carbonyl, and then da 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 da. So that would be your triglycerol. And you would hydrolyze with sodium hydroxide. Your great-great-great-grandma out there with a big vat of sodium hydroxide doing, you know, they weren't getting jiggy with it. There was no pop locking and dropping. There was no to the left, everything I own. It was strictly, you know, some must push and some must pull. As we go marching up, you know, some kind of pioneering old-fashioned hoedown going on. While they added the sodium hydroxide, so this is potash, would be potassium hydroxide. If you go to ride bikes at Moab, as you're coming down in just past the natural bridges on the left, you will see a potash farm. That's why there is a choo-choo train that goes down there, and I think the town is probably called potash. That's where they get this caustic stuff, so that the old pioneers could, you know, make their soap. So that's what's happening is now, this is your soap. This begins to look like a mycel. You know, you get these little soap membranes. Okay, Ty, you just wasted time drawing that because you didn't trust that you would have a picture there. There it is. So these are your long chains. You break this open. You keep the glycerol for lubing the wheel as you go across the plains. You know, this is how you would lubricate your wagon wheel. Or you can lubricate, this is also how you lubricate the rectal thermometer to go into your baby when you have a baby, so that you can take the temperature. If you think the baby's going to keep that little thermometer in the mouth, it's not going to happen. It's not going to keep it underneath the armpit. Normally, when the baby's sick and you need to give it an antiemetic, it goes in the rectum. And so glycerol helps make that occur. So keep the glycerol. And then you have your soap. Sodium salts, I believe, make the hard soap. If you use potassium, that makes your soft soap that you pump out of the thing. That's the difference between a hard soap and a soft soap. Is just that size of the cation that you have. So you end up with this soap. And what happens then is, I hope I have a picture here. Give me a soap. Yeah, that's not cool. There we go. So in a soap, what happens is the nonpolar end goes in and binds up the grease and the oils and the stains, while the polar end sits outside with the water so that it can make this fat globule that's not soluble in water, soluble in the water, so that it can be flushed down the drain to the thing. Whether it's out of your hair or off your body or anywhere, that's how a soap works. Now, you know, that's cooler than anything else you've learned today, correct? Yes, this is the most cool thing. It's the coolest thing I know. Okay. So there's soap. Hydrophobic and hydrophobic. By the way, this is just exactly how your membranes work too. Is they would line up, you know, and make a joint here, and so these polar ends would stick out into the blood or the aqueous solution of your body, and then inside would be all the organelles, the mitochondria, the nucleus.